The following presentation is a...
Now, I have been watching wrestling since I was probably 10 years old. I can't tell you the first match I saw or anything like that. I know it was at some point in 2011 when I started to watch WWE. Once again, forgive my voice, I'm recovering from an illness. My first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 28, John Cena versus The Rock, and thank God it was, because if my first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 27, I might remember that as a good WrestleMania. But I was 10 years old, grade 5, and I fell in love with WWE. Rey Mysterio, Dolph Ziggler, John Cena, those were my favorites, and they still are to this day. And when you think back to 2011, 2012, as a kid, it was my favorite thing, you know, but you had so many stars there. I remember watching The Shield debut and I was going ballistic. The Wyatt family quickly became one of my favorite groups of all time. And then as I grew up, I dove into some of the older stuff, some of the Attitude Era stuff, some of the pre-Attitude Era stuff. Guys like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, I went and watched their matches. And you gotta remember too, I started watching right when Edge left. So the whole Edge thing, I never got to experience. I had to go back and watch Edge's stuff. Regardless, I started this journey in 2011 and I have not stopped since, except for one time. Some call it the worst time ever in WWE. 2019. This is the year when AEW started, and I think it was a combination of AEW being the new hot thing and AEW being really good and WWE being kind of really bad that made me not watch WWE anymore. I didn't watch WWE for the entire pandemic era, and then eventually I did get back into it. I've been watching it for a while now, and I went back and I saw some of the pandemic era stuff, but I had Twitter anyway. Like, I knew what was going on in the show. And so the question I have to ask myself is, was 2019 really that bad? Was it really that bad of a year for WWE? Because again, some people call this the worst year in WWE history, or at least the worst in the last few decades. And I don't know if I can agree with that. I mean, yes, it made me stop watching the show, but also AEW made me stop watching. So today I'm going to analyze 2019 WWE to see if it was really that bad, because there are some good things about 2019 that I remember. The Fiend was one of them. It was definitely a weird era in WWE. It felt like a transitional era. But, you know, again, they had The Fiend. Seth Rollins as the Beast Slayer was pretty good. They had Elias, man. Elias was hotter than ever. So let's go through 2019 WWE. I've got the list of pay-per-views here, and I believe it's in the correct order. I'm not going to go over the NXT stuff because, to be honest, I wasn't watching NXT at the time, and I'm still not watching NXT now. So starting off, we have the Royal Rumble, the 2019 Royal Rumble. This is the year Seth Rollins won, and I think what made this... Oh my God, The Miz and Shane McMahon defeated The Bar. Drake Maverick, you know what? This might be the worst time in WWE. Honestly, kind of a stacked card though. I mean, Ronda Rousey, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch wins the Royal Rumble. Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. But yeah, the Rumble 2019, I don't remember it being anything that special. The one from the year before, the 2018 one, I remember loving that way more than this one. So the next one was the Elimination Chamber. I remember this one because I remember Kofi was in the chamber, and he might have been... Was he not the last one? Daniel Bryan defended the title in the chamber. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is before the chamber. This is when Samoa Joe went out there and cut that promo on everyone. And that video has been circulating Twitter ever since. Finn Balor defeats Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush by pinfall. Why do I not remember that? I thought Finn Balor fought Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania as the Demon. And then it was Fastlane in Cleveland, Ohio. Here's the thing. I remember 2018 Rumble, Chamber, and Fastlane being miles ahead of 2019. I don't even remember this show. Oh yeah, Daniel Bryan had Rowan, and he had that thing in the cage. Oh my God, bro. The Bar defeats Kofi Kingston. I don't remember this. I'm going to assume it was, if Kofi Kingston can beat the 2-on-1 against the Bar, he gets the match, and then Kofi loses again. Again, the Usos defeat The Miz and Shane McMahon. Okay, so then Shane didn't turn last time. So then he would have turned, right? He would have turned here, or like on Raw the next night. Shield. This is one of Dean Ambrose's last... No, this was Dean Ambrose's last pay-per-view. And then, of course, WrestleMania 35, the 7-hour show, as I remember it. Could have been shorter, but that's how long I remember it being. Demon Finn Balor was cool. I remember the Roman McIntyre match going way longer than it should have. This is a brutal WrestleMania. Like, they didn't even have The Fiend at this point. It was 16 matches. This is a 16 match pay-per-view. To be fair, 4 of those are on the pre-show. Pre-show included, this had to be 7 hours. I remember the Iconics winning, and I actually kind of popped for that. I'm not gonna lie, I popped for the Iconics. Shane McMahon defeats The Miz. I remember that being an okay match, but Kofi Kingston wins. I mean, that was a great moment. Out of this whole WrestleMania, that's probably the best moment. Oh my God, Triple H and Batista. Oh no. And then Baron Corbin defeats Kurt Angle. The women did main event in the triple threat match, which I thought was a good match. I thought it was. And then there was that weird controversy where like Ronda Rousey didn't have her shoulders on the mat. Money in the Bank, I remember. Okay, what a weird card. Like, okay, so Shane McMahon and The Miz again. Roman Reigns defeats Elias. Seth Rollins defeats AJ Styles. Go down. Hold on a minute. Is this the one where Triple H... Oh no, this was The Undertaker Goldberg. This was even worse. The Undertaker defeats Goldberg in a 9.5-minute match. Shane McMahon defeated Roman Reigns. What is going on in 2019? And then the next was Stomping Grounds, which I don't even think I watched. No count out, no disqualification match. Seth Rollins defeats Baron Corbin. God. Kofi Kingston, Dolph Ziggler, okay. Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre with Shane McMahon, so this is a rematch from WrestleMania. Like, if you didn't have the WWE Network, which I believe was still, at this time, it was still the WWE Network, who's paying for this pay-per-view? Who's paying $50 for this pay-per-view? All right, moving on, we got SummerSlam, and I remember because Brock Lesnar picked up Seth Rollins with, like, by the stomach thing and swung him around. I remember that moment. It doesn't matter anyway. Nothing was happening before SummerSlam. The Fiend shows up. He's great. Everything there is great. I was getting sick of Seth Rollins already. And I wanted Brock Lesnar to win the match. He did not. Hell in a Cell 2019. How can I even explain it? This was one of the worst pieces of crap I've ever seen in my life. Not just in terms of watching wrestling. I'm talking about watching anything in my life. It was so bad that they chanted AEW at the end of the match. And the Fiend gets up, right? And it was, match ended due to a stoppage to save the Fiend. The only thing that could have saved that was if the Fiend won. And it boggles me to this day, it mind boggles me to this day, how the Fiend, how Bray Wyatt, and how Seth Rollins ever came back from that. Crown Jewel, in fact. Let's go to Crown Jewel. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, defeats Seth Rollins. So he wins it 3 weeks later. And thank goodness he did, because the Fiend is about to have one of the greatest runs in that Universal title history, because the next pay-per-view at Survivor Series, he puts on a banger with Daniel Bryan. I don't remember what happened in that match, but I know what you've been waiting for, the moment everyone has been waiting for. This is a dream match in the making. We thought about this from the second we saw The Fiend. The Fiend versus The Miz. TLC 2019. What is going on, bro? Okay, King Corbin defeats Roman Reigns. Bray Wyatt fights The Miz. And this is just the pay-per-views. Okay, this is just the pay-per-view card. This is what happened in 2019. This is honestly one of the worst years in WWE history. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not even getting into the storylines, because wow, I could get into that. Top 10 WWE storylines of 2019. Let's take a look. Okay, that's an NXT one. That's also an NXT one. That's also an NXT one. Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio. Why? Is that not forgettable? The only thing I remember was that Rey Mysterio and Dominic fought Brock. I thought it wasn't a 2-on-1 handicap match, but it might have just been Rey Mysterio, and then Dominic comes along in the end. Oh yeah, Becky Lynch became the Man. I hated that name, by the way. I always have. And then Kofi Mania doesn't even matter anyway, because Brock Lesnar beats him in 7 seconds. But yes, the Firefly Funhouse stuff with Bray Wyatt, I thought that was great. The thing is, though, that's only one thing, and it happened halfway through 2019. 2019 might be the worst year ever in WWE. You tell me what you think. Everybody knows it was garbage, but how bad do you think it was? Let me know in the comments. Good night.